Christopher Cantwell and Angel Unzueta continue Tony's little hippie commune arc as the true nature of the colony is revealed, leaving Tony to make an important decision on what will happen to it and his future. Christopher Cantwell wraps up Tony's little side adventure to the isolated planet for now in an utterly satisfying way that reveals a little bit more about the colony and the secrets behind it. I'm pretty sure everyone guessed that Stiltman was behind all of this in some way, but what I liked is the whole scheme was born out of his warped sense of doing what is right and trying to do something good. Wilbur only wanted to do better in his life and try and actually excel at something and do something different than his usual life, albeit he did it in a pretty fucked up way that led to people's deaths. It was a great getting to explore that portion of the character who's otherwise been considered a joke. I mean, he's Stiltman, his whole shtick is that he has extendo legs and extendo arms, like that's a real big joke character. But Cantwell has this great knack for writing characters we probably shouldn't like or root for, but we end up feeling for them and seeing another side of them, and he ends up giving them something cool to do. Tony's continued drug abuse also gets a little bit more development here, and it's something I'm really looking forward to actually getting to be the main plot of the story, which will no doubt happen after the Korvac arc, and it's definitely going to be building up to that since we keep getting hints that, this is something he's definitely going to have to deal with straight after Korvac. He keeps, abusing this drug and it's affecting his mind and his judgment and everything, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing that, as well as how that plays into Korvac's whole deal and how he goes about dealing with Korvac. Spanish artist Angel Unzueta tags in as the artist, and I've said this before about his work on the series in the Moondragon issue, but his art really complements the series artist Cafu's work really well. Both artists' styles fit together nicely, and I loved how he draws Tony's eyes through the helmet so he can give a little bit of emotion to the mask. His action as well with Stiltman and Avro X and Iron Man all sort of tangling together was top notch and fast paced as well. Iron Man issue 11 was one hell of an issue that wrapped up Tony's time on the isolated planet for now, but not before doing some amazing character work with D-list characters like Stiltman and Avro X, as well as connecting it all back to the main Korvac plot in a pretty satisfying and flawless way. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Iron Man issue 11 finds Tony and the others burying the people Ultimo killed, eulogizing Yar and the other deaths. Tony apologizes to Colin for losing the people, but Colin knows that they fought and they all did. Tony asks how many people have died and if they have tried to attack the source and whatever is powering the Ultimos. Colin knows that they barely have enough food and they can't launch a full-fledged war campaign. Tony thinks maybe both of them could check some things out, but Colin waves it off since Ultimo is already being melted down for better use, wanting Tony to come and have a drink with him. Tony goes home, knowing that something isn't right as Stiltman comes by to see him. Tony says on Earth he understood the rules and they were to fight each other, but this place is different and a paradise, but he has a problem with innocent people dying. He knows Wilbur has made something amazing there, so why not try and stamp out the last terrible part of it once and for all? Wilbur has thought about it every day since he got there, but the people aren't like Tony or him, and they are lucky to have even Avro X there, and he's not going to ask these people to fight for them and get themselves killed, so they need to protect them. Tony says that going after the Ultimos doesn't have to be a last stand, since if they do it right, they could shut it down quietly. Wilbur refuses, knowing that the source is nothing short of a singularity, and it's an endless assembly line, but it's continents away, and even if one errant machine knew their location, it would take months for it to reach them. Tony knows they have already been reached, and he wants to help. Wilbur wants his help, but they have a better chance of being rescued if they build his signaling system. Tony reluctantly agrees, as Wilbur knows that he has created a beautiful home here, finding it funny to think that the threat of the machines is what keeps their community together. Tony knows that they are killer robots, and without them this place could actually grow and build on great ideas. Wilbur says that he is asking for Tony's help with rescue signals since they could have it up and running within weeks if not days, wanting to go join the others. As they walk, Tony says his life makes little sense to him these days. Wilbur says that it only seems like yesterday Daredevil was pile driving him into a car, but tonight he's making some sort of bird meat stew. Suddenly Patsy contacts Tony, telling him he's forgetting something, wanting to steal him away from Wilbur for a moment. Tony makes up an excuse as he leaves, learning that Hellcat is reading his mind to get caught up on what's happening. Tony tells her that that's not nice and it's rude, and if she really wanted to talk, then they should go somewhere. Tony goes back to his quarters where he meets with the astral projection of Hellcat, learning that they still need to deal with Korvac. Tony knows, but he's gotten caught up in these people's lives here. Hellcat hopes that Tony knows that these people actually exist in the known universe, since then Tony can help them by stopping Korvac before he transmogrifies the universe into something. Tony doesn't even know where he is, telling Patsy to stop reading his mind when she says she knows that. He says that this place is so perfect and Patsy knows except the Ultimo machines eating people, and she knows Tony has turned off his morphine governor, asking how high he really is. Tony falls down, saying that he's very high, as Patsy says that he's been carrying a lot on his shoulders, but he doesn't have to do it alone, but he hasn't figured it out yet. Tony learns that Patsy and the others are facing Korvac on Tartu alone without Tony, but the man refuses to let that happen. Patsy says that they have a visual on Tartu and have beaten Korvac to it. Tony knows that all their deaths will end up on his conscience and it will be his fault, but Patsy demands he stop doing that, since when he says it's his fault, he makes it all about him. But they are all just trying to be heroes, and it's an executive decision to take on Korvac alone if they have to. Patsy tells Tony to take care of himself, and once they are done, they'll come find him, wanting him to turn his medicine governor back on before he loses his mind. She disconnects, going back to the team and telling them that they are on their own. Misty says this already felt like a suicide mission, as Ben asks if there's no way they can reach Tony. Patsy says that even if they could, he's probably in no shape to do this, but now it's just up to them to save the universe. Tony meanwhile sleeps until nighttime, sneaking out of his home and to the old Ultimo wreck where he found the power source. Avriel X confronts him, telling him the Ultimo wreck was off limits, but Tony asks why. Colin knows that Wilbur has been through this and it's a waste of time to use the power source as he attacks, blasting Tony. Colin says that he's not in charge of the colony or anything, as Tony says he'll need to pull his punches so he doesn't kill Colin, grabbing him by the leg and slamming him into the ground, asking what the man is hiding. Colin says that they know these Ultimos are dangerous enough without anyone messing with them. Tony knows he's talking about himself and Wilbur, wondering what else he has told Colin to do. Colin says he's got to protect this place and not let anyone upset the balance since it's fragile. Tony taps back into the power source, finding an AI remote control circuit grafted onto the chip with solder, knowing that this is very recent work. Tony and Colin blast their way into Stiltman's lab, as Wilbur knows they probably should have knocked first since he's been doing beta tests on the signal. Tony knows the Ultimos are being controlled remotely by Wilbur, but he tries to wave it off as just the Singularity doing it all. But Tony knows of the control chips, accusing him of murder. Stiltman attacks, saying that this is his home, and Colin says he trusted Wilbur. The villain says that neither of them understand anything and the Ultimos are part of the ecosystem just like everything else. Tony asks if that means like protected wildlife, because they sure aren't gazelles. Wilbur demands Stark opens his eyes to the grand experiment that's actually working here. Stiltman smashes the heroes against the wall, knowing that he had enough of everything back on Earth and he wanted a stake in something, so he came there with a plan and he wanted to show that he could be a leader and create something good. Tony thinks that his terrarium has some flaws, but Wilbur knows they aren't flaws since the interference beam brought them all there one by one, and he had pretended that the same thing happened to him. That way they were all in this together, bonding. Colin realizes the villain brought them all there, and Wilbur confirms he did, and he gave them all something they wanted, and they could let go of what they were before and live with others. Tony manages to break one of the Stiltman's arms, asking why the Ultimos and why is he killing off his loyal subjects. Wilbur breaks off the long arm, revealing a gun hidden inside, as he says that the ones who lived before created the Ultimos and the robots destroyed them, but he learned how to reprogram them. Stiltman opens fire on the hero as Colin breaks the other arm of Stiltman. The heroes go for the legs, toppling the villain as Tony again asks why he reprogrammed the Ultimos. Wilbur says that he couldn't let the colony grow too big since that might mean he loses leadership, so he kept it small, and with a threat that is always looming, there would be no infighting or factions or arguing and just a place of happiness. He knows that when he heard the SOS signal from Tony's ship, he had to bring the hero there, since while he knew it was risky, he needed to to show him that he could lead something pure. Tony knows that it's not pure though, it's sick and sad. Colin says it looks pretty infuriating as well, as the other villagers have arrived, hearing Wilbur's confessions. Tony tells them not to do this, but the mob grab Wilbur, carrying the man off as he shouts how much he loved them. Tony wants to stop them, but Colin says that this is a society and this is their injustice to right, so they just need to trust them to do what is best. Tony refuses to let them kill Wilbur, but Colin says that they are good people and they have already dealt with too much death already. Suddenly the living tribunal appears, calling Tony by name, which he knows means this is bad. The being says that the universe is on the verge of a catastrophic imbalance and only he can restore it, and to do that he must be on Tartu right away. Tony knows that he's talking about Korvac and it looks like he needs to go there. Tony asks the living tribunal if he needs to be there, that means his friends won't succeed without him, but the being says he gravely misunderstands his words, but they must leave right now. Colin asks to come with him since he can be of help, telling Tony that he's in since what else is he going to be doing with himself. The duo are zapped away to Tartu, knowing that they are lucky since they seem to be there before Korvac or even Galactus, as intruder alert alarms begin blaring away, making Tony realize that they just activated the defense systems.